everybody, and welcome back to Valley View Living. My name is Megan. I have 6 children. I'm a homesteader, homeschooler, and a homemaking mum here in New South Wales, Australia. We live on a multi-generational property that we bought into with my mum, who lives in her own tiny house on the back 5 acres, and we live in the original farmhouse on the front 5 acres. We are learning as we go as homesteaders. At the moment, we've got half a dozen chooks in the backyard with a rooster who just seem to be in an eternal molt, so I haven't received many eggs at all. Fingers crossed, and I just keep trying to be patient. We have 1 dairy cow and another heifer who will hopefully become a second dairy cow in time, and we are raising 2 steer for the freezer. So our property can't handle any more cattle than that, and to be honest, probably neither can we. They do actually take quite a lot of work and maintenance. We also have 2 pigs in the backyard. We have a mother pig and her daughter. She also had 3 other piglets, and she had 5. She had 5 other piglets, and we sold 2 of them, and we processed the other 3 male piglets for the freezer as well, so we still have that pork in the freezer. Now, this was a recent morning here, right after we'd had pizza for the night before. I purposefully made a bit of a bigger batch of dough, and we had one little dough ball left over, and because we were actually out of bread, we were waiting in our bread delivery, I cooked that pizza base as kind of like a breakfast pizza for the kids, just to keep them happy while waiting for something else. I don't know what else I gave them, maybe some yogurt and granola afterwards, but this really hit the spot and they very much enjoyed it. I had no eggs in the house, I had no bread in the house, so typical breakfast wasn't going to happen, no eggs on toast on that day. But as I say, this was pretty popular. So this was my breakfast and a sort of second breakfast for anybody else who wanted it. Just love some plain Greek yogurt and some honey and some of the homemade granola that I put away just a couple of days ago. It was actually surprisingly filling, I have to say. I stick to eggs the majority of the time, but eggs have been so difficult to find and so expensive lately that I've really had to diversify and be more flexible. And this really kept my blood sugars stable and seemed to have high enough protein to keep me feeling full right up until lunchtime. So I was really happy with that. Something else for me to add, and it's so much easier than cooking, right? So I think I've mentioned we've just been recovering from a pretty heavy cold. I'm really thinking it was probably more of a flu. We had the whole fevers, people having a hacking cough, just really legitimately unwell. And the kids have wanted to do nothing but just rest and watch movies for a couple of weeks now. It's been pretty heavy, but the children are just coming out of it and I'm just recovering myself as well. So that's wonderful. We're starting to get back into our normal daily routine, which means that we're starting to get more into the routine of in the morning right after breakfast, we can handle our chores again, and then we get straight into homeschool work. So I tend to concentrate on the youngest first, and I'll play with my 2 little kids first, and then I'll move on to a school project with my 6-year-old who is learning to read right now. That's what he's mostly focusing on. And then I've got my 8-year-old, my 11-year-old, and my 14-year-old doing work up until lunchtime that if they need my support, I am there to help them with. So going back to having a cold, what I'm doing here is putting together some homemade lemonade. This is something everybody really enjoys, and having a big jug of it in the fridge is just perfect for when you need that immune boost. So this contains the juice of about 3 fresh lemons there, and maybe 2 heaped tablespoons of local raw honey added to that. Now I've just got to put a little bit of boiling water into that and stir it up to dissolve the honey so it mixes all through the jug. And then I will just top it up with spring water. And with this batch, I put in some frozen raspberries, but you can add all kinds of things at this stage. It's nice with just ice cubes, but also, chunks of fruit, things like that. Really tasty. This went down really well, and I don't even think I got to store it in the fridge. It was all just drunk up really quickly. Recently, I was shopping online for some nice quality salsa, just to have some salsa in the cupboard to add a bit of flavour to some meals, and I'd like to learn some recipes actually using it as well. That's not something I'm really used to using in my cooking, so it's a way I'd like to change some recipes in that way. And I found some organic salsas online, but they were small jars, so they were maybe only 200 to 250 grams, smaller than a tin of tomatoes, and they weren't particularly flavoursome or enjoyable, and the price was ridiculous, honestly. I think a small jar was somewhere between $6 to $8, and I just thought, no way, this seems so simple, there has got to be a way I can make this and just have this in the home myself. So I had a bit of a web search, and I think I asked ChatGPT for some ideas with making salsa with tinned tomatoes, and it sounded super simple. I don't know why I haven't tried this before, but basically all I've done is just taken the tinned tomatoes, and it is better if you drain off some of the liquid. I consistently forget to do that, and it is still yummy with the extra liquid. But I think if you drain the tomatoes, it is quite a bit nicer. And then I've just put those drained tinned tomatoes into a glass jar. I add about half of a raw red onion, several cloves of garlic, the juice of 1 whole lime, and then you can add the kind of seasonings that you enjoy in your salsa. I know that I really like it spicy. So I add in some pickled jalapenos into mine and salt. Sorry about that, I just had to settle a little person who is waking up from their nap. This is when I can edit videos and when I can record voiceovers, and this is when I can work on my hobby. It's when I am holding a baby who is trying to take a nap in the afternoon. So back to it, adding in salt, lime, jalapeno, red onion, garlic. I don't think I add any other seasonings or flavorings. Of course you can do. You can add all the beautiful spices that are wonderful in salsa. But I find that keeping this simple, it just tastes surprisingly fresh. It was so good. So this is another staple I'm trying to get into my routine and always have in the fridge. Obviously, it's really good with corn chips. It's amazing on tacos and burritos and nachos and all that kind of stuff. but it's also just really good with fried eggs. Or even if you're just having a steak or some chicken, yeah, really tasty, and another one to have around the house for sure. So I seem to have gotten into the routine here. I guess it's while we've been so unwell and we've been housebound, and I haven't been putting in the hours every day to do homeschooling because we've been on school holidays and also not very well. I've gotten into this routine of just baking cookies and muffins every single day, which is, for me, it's a hobby that I enjoy, and obviously my family is not complaining when they have to keep eating the sweets that I make. But it is something that is fun, and something I like experimenting with as well. This is an experiment I won't share the recipe for because they just weren't very good. These were dense and they weren't very nice. But in saying that, hey, they all got eaten. It was kind of nutritious and my kids enjoyed it. They are gone now, so not a big deal. And I think that's part of putting yourself out there in the kitchen, isn't it? I remember when I was starting out as a homemaker, I was very nervous to try new recipes, or to be honest, I didn't want to try new recipes because of the fear of failure, of nobody liking them, of those ingredients being wasted, and also myself just taking the perceived rejection of a meal or a treat or a snack personally and finding it. And as I say that back, I realize that just sounds so silly. It's not me being rejected, it's a recipe not being somebody's favorite. And it seems really obvious that that is not something that a homemaker or anybody who is caring for someone else and providing a meal for them should take personally. It's just the way that people are. We don't all like the same things, and there will be times when what you have made and put your heart into is not translated on the plate, and it doesn't come through to the people that you're showing that love to. So all that to say, these biscuits were not the best, but my family still appreciated them and ate them. And, that's just how homemaking is sometimes. You win some and you lose some, but you definitely keep on cooking. Am I right? So speaking of cooking, yep, here I am keeping on cooking. This was our main meal for the day. We're having some tacos, burritos. I guess they're like soft skin tacos. They're just using these burrito shells that are 100% corn flour with some salt. They're really good quality and they just taste really yummy. So I'll try to remember that brand and share that here if anyone's interested. But yes, you just fry up the tortilla skins. These are mine I'm making here. Can you see how quickly I'm making these? I had a baby in the background just starting to get really grumpy. I think she wanted a nap or she just wanted her mama. So I really had to rush through making this dinner for myself here. And you can see I'm just like, just get it out, get it done. And I love to have it pretty simple, just meat and cheese. I keep the beef mince very simple. Kids are eating it, all good. The adults add the flavor that they want with the spicy salsa, the jalapenos, the other flavors like that. So yeah, this was really enjoyable. I'd love to keep making these more regularly now that I've found some gluten-free tortilla shells that work for the whole family. So thanks again for joining me today. I love getting on with my homemaking work, knowing that I'm in company here, and I'm really enjoying this. If you do enjoy this content, please feel free to comment, to subscribe, to like, to share, to let people know that I'm here. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.